Hello all YouTubers, I am the Weather Dude, helping you to understand your weather even better. Welcome back to my YouTube channel. Thank you all for tuning back into this weather presentation for August 11th, 2019. As always, please consider subscribing, as well as liking and sharing the video, and ringing the bell notifications to never miss one of my videos again. Please look in the description for other videos of mine with superior weather content you won't find anywhere else. And please consider watching the whole video. Everybody in the United States needs to know about this because this will be my first winter forecast for today. I've seen a ton of winter forecasts and I had to come out with one. I've been working on it for the past couple of days because my time span that I had to work on this in the past couple of days was a little bit, shortened. So I hope you guys enjoy this winter forecast. Number one, I will be issuing a few more after this one, so this isn't the only one. So first up is going to be my temperature outlook for the winter. I include like very late November, December, January, February, and very early March in my forecast. All right, so here's the temperatures, and it's a very simple pattern. The jet stream is pretty much going to go like this, and then kind of come down like this. It's very simple. I can explain that once I show you my weather maps later on, but this is just going to be my forecast, this part of the video here. So the yellow area, it covers much of the western third of the country, as a matter of fact, including the Rockies, the Four Corners, Pacific Northwest, slightly above average temperatures, but there are some spots, especially in the Arizona desert, Phoenix, Tucson, Death Valley, California, Las Vegas, and even up here in Boise, Idaho, and then western part of the Rockies, you could even see some moderately above average temperatures. Then in the east, last winter it was like a very weak El Nino, I believe. I have to check on that real quick. Let me see, because last winter was a, let me see, 2018. Yeah, so it was almost like a La Nina. Was it really? No, it was a weak El Nino. Okay, I was looking at the wrong one. Okay, so yes, it was a weak El Nino. We were like, whoa, it's gonna be East Coast blizzards, and not every weatherman is perfect, and I'll admit I was kind of thinking the same thing. Not as much. I wasn't thinking like going all out, but I did think there's gonna be like a lot of blizzards, and there really wasn't that many blizzards. But they did get it right in the fact that it was cold in the east. It just wasn't as snowy as I thought. So they were kind of half right in my opinion. But in the east, because the typical jet stream pattern, and I will show you climatologically as well, historically, what happened during neutral years, because El Nino is gone now. But yes, usually it gets colder in the east, and as a matter of fact, by the Great Lakes, it could be much below average in some spots. Alright, next up, we have our precipitation outlook. I do have a separate snowfall outlook as well, so this isn't really snow per se. It kind of is, but it's more like, liquid water. So, precipitation. I mean, warm and dry in the west, that's pretty much the story. Again, the west, same area that was warm, it's going to be dry. And just west of the Four Corners area, Death Valley, Las Vegas, Nevada, Salt Lake City, Utah, moderately below average precipitation is possible. And then again, that could very well change. You can, even with the temperature, like it almost forms like a question or a check mark. That's pretty cool. But that's the way it is. East, we can see some above average precipitation, and colder temperatures, above average precipitation, that's snow, especially during the wintertime. And again, any white, if I forgot to mention, any white is average or equal chances. If anything is obscured by the camera, I did make it smaller than I usually do. So if anything is obscured, I'll let you know what it is. Like light brown is slightly below average, dark brown is moderately above average. I mean below average. You can see this dark green here is moderately above average, as you can see here. Across the Midwest and in the Northeast, and like near the Appalachians. And then pretty much slightly above average across the eastern half of the country, pretty much, actually. Alright, next up we have my overall forecast. Actually, I'm going to do my snowfall forecast first. So this is just snowfall, and then I'm going to get to my overall forecast. Alright, here we go. Dun-dun-dun. So, basically, it's too simple. I mean, this one is not going to be as, high definition as the other one was, because I don't want to put too much effort into this yet, because it's very uncertain on the exact snowfall totals. But basically, once we get closer to winter, say October, November, I will be including maybe some totals in, or maybe. But basically, the East, Tennessee Valley, up to the Midwest, Northeast, Appalachians, Northern Plains, Upper Midwest, above average snowfall is possible. White is equal chances. And in the West, we can see some the western third of the country, some below average snowfall, especially in those mountainous areas, because they have warmer and drier and not as much precipitable water mixing with that cold air to make some snow and clashing with that warm air as well. I just don't think it's going to be that much snow. We will still see a lot, don't get me wrong, especially because it's the mountainous areas, but just not quite as much as you normally see. I don't even know if you would even notice it, to be honest. Alright, here we go. This is my overall forecast. Drum roll, please. And here we are. We're going to go from top to bottom, so as you can see there, starting from the red color down to the purple color, and of course white is average or equal chances, like your average weather. Alright, so the bright red, that is across the west, and it is obscured by the camera, but it says slightly less mountain snow. This region in here, and in the mountains eastern California as well. So Colorado, Wyoming, Boise, Idaho, all spots, and the Sierra Nevada there as well. I was forgetting the name of those mountain ranges for a second. The Sierra Nevada and the Sierras in California as well. Could see some slightly less mountain snow, but again, I don't even know if you would notice it. But again, that could change. Next one down is nor'easters, and it's cut off. It says especially mid-season after that. And that is for the eastern seaboard from Maine down to the Carolinas. Now you're thinking, well, coastal South Carolina, coastal North Carolina, do they really get snow? They can get a nor'easter. They still get nor'easters down there. It's just they don't get the snowy part. They usually get the rainy part down there. But it can snow down there. It's just not very often. But the teal color is nor'easters, especially in mid-season, like towards February and March. Well, mid-late season. Next one down is slightly less lake effect snow. I have seen that we could potentially have a cold fall in this region. Now keep in mind, for there to be lake effect snow, there needs to be warm. The Great Lakes water needs to be warm, because you got the cold air riding over it, and that makes the snow belts. If it's cold in the fall, and the water of the Great Lakes cools down, and then the Great Lakes water cools down, and then when the cold air moves over the cooler water, not as much lake effect snow can form off of that. So if there is going to be a cooler fall there, like they're saying, then the winter is going to result in slightly less lake effect snow. Now, it doesn't mean they're going to have less snow. I just don't think there's going to be as much lake effect snow, but they can still have some big snowfall amounts there. I don't think much of it is going to be coming from the lake effect as it usually does. Alright, next one down is the slightly warmer temperatures and more wet weather. As you will see by the jet stream pattern, usually during ENSO neutral patterns, the jet stream goes something like that. Then you can have these low pressures that form here. So the southeast could be probably cool or colder during ENSO neutral patterns. However, at the Gulf Coast or near the Gulf Coast, I think it will be slightly warmer, but it'll definitely be a lot more wet there. And if there's a little bit of snow, I think it'll get some frost down there. But I don't think there's gonna be, if it gets cooler. But I think it's gonna be just a touch warmer. All right, next one down is above normal snowfall and cold. This is valid here for the Green Mountains, the White Mountains up in New England, down the Appalachians, down through the Smoky Mountains in North Carolina, western North Carolina, and eastern Tennessee. Above normal snowfall and, of course, cold temperatures. Next one is warm and dry in an orange color across, again, the pretty much western third of the country where there's not mountains. That's where you're going to find your warm and dry conditions. But even in the mountains could even be a little bit warmer, a little bit drier as well. Next one on the list, second to last one, is the wintry mix. This is your winter battle zone across the mid-south, parts of the central and southern plains, and even parts of the southeast. Snow, sleet, freezing rain, and rain mixtures all through the winter. That's your winter battle zone right in this region right here. It does include the Smoky Mountains, but closer to the ground. I think that if you go high enough in the Smoky Mountains, it'll be like a snowier winter. But down at the base of those mountains, that's where you're going to see your wintry battle zone. And then across, again, not the deep south, but like the mid-south, the Tennessee Valley, South Central Plains. All those areas could see some snow, sleet, freezing rain, and rain, all combined. And then you got your purple color. That's your bone-chilling Arctic blast at times. I did add those words at times because I didn't really know if they were going to be that persistent. That's why I put the word at times, because there's still a little bit of uncertainty. Because remember, it's August. I mean, we'll probably see, it's still probably 2 months till our first snowfall in the United States. Maybe 1 month. Sometimes it snows in September up in the mountains, but probably 2 months till your first snowfall anywhere given point in the United States. So, that is the overall forecast. We are now going to head to the maps portion of this video. Alright, so these are some maps. This is basically mostly going to be like historically what has happened in past ENSO neutral years. Now this map in front of me and all these other maps that are going to be shown here, you can all make these. You can make these yourself. I do. The tab is right here. If you want to take a quick look, esrl.noaa.gov/psd/USCLIMDIFVS/. You can make these maps yourself, kind of make like a composite of what has happened over the years. Just a fun little weather tool we can use there. But you can make this yourself, however, I got this off of weather.gov. So they took all the NSO neutral years dating back to looks like 62. And November through January, and we're going to go farther beyond that too. This is the temperature map. Now, NSO neutral years, typically, November through January, it looks like much of the country, except for the Southwest, is cold. But the core of the cold is in the Northern Plains and Upper Midwest. That's where the core of the cold is going to be. But really, it's that, like, northern third of the country that usually sees that coldest part with the ENSO neutral. Not including the Northwest. But California usually is a little bit warmer, actually, November through January with the ENSO neutral patterns. How about November through January? How about precipitation? Usually, much of the country is drier, actually, including Florida is actually dry during NSO neutral, but I don't think that's going to be like that this year. If digestion can get far enough south, closer to Florida, can bring some wetter times there. Not that they need the rain. But the Southern Plains, dry. West Coast, California, Oregon, Washington, dry. It's going to be really dry there. We're talking about greater than 2, 3, 4 inches below average for your precipitation anomalies. It doesn't sound like much, but when you total that over a whole season, it really makes an impact. And then there's a few scattered areas, again, Montana, northern Michigan, parts of the southeast, maybe parts of coastal Maine that are slightly wetter than average. But overall, the country is a little bit drier during November through January, but usually in the southern part and the western part of the country. Now we're going to take it forward one more month. So December through February. So last one was November, December, January. This is December, January, February. And again, it's pretty much the same story. Northern third of the country, with the exception of the Northwest, is the coldest, with the core of the cold being the Northern Plains and Upper Midwest, 2, 3, 4 degrees below average for your temperatures. And actually, climatologically, December through February, I don't see anywhere that is above average temperatures. However, if you do see above average temperatures, if you do, it would probably be in this area, in California and Florida. But it is not shown, so it's probably not going to be that way. But if that does happen, those two areas outlined in black, that's where it probably would happen. But it's a very, not likely chance of that. Although the West will be very warm and dry. Now, December through February's precipitation, you start to notice how we get that, coastally fashion there. How the precipitation kind of moves up the eastern seaboard. That's where you start to get those nor'easters. You can tell by the way the map is laid out. The southeast and the northwest, the Rockies. The northern Rockies usually see some above average precipitation, but that doesn't happen all the time, however. And then the east coast starts to get those nor'easters, and that's where you see that coastal fashion moving up this way. You start to see some above average precipitation due to those nor'easters. I mean, this is factoring snow, any kind of liquid precipitation. But again, the southern plains, Florida, and the west coast are really dry. So that's something kind of to hint at for the winter time. It's gonna be a little bit dry there. Now, good thing it's winter, good thing it's colder. Usually we don't see as much wildfires, but don't let your guard down, especially in places like California. But if you're in the southern plains, good thing it's cold. Hope we can get some nice winter storms there to knock out the drought. But droughts aren't too common in the wintertime, but they can still happen. Now here's where it gets interesting. January, February, and March. You can see those darker blues starting to shift their way east towards the northeast. So still northern plains, upper Midwest, but now the core of that cold starts to shift into the interior northeast a little bit. And again, January through March, California, Florida's your two warmer spots, but the rest of the country is slightly colder to much colder than average, usually in an ENSO neutral pattern. Then I will show you the jet stream patterns as well. Here is January through March. This is the precipitation. And here it is, Tennessee Valley, mid-south. This is where you see some above average precipitation, maybe western Montana. But again, look at this. West Coast, California, Southern Plains, Florida. Again, all areas that are usually drier. And surprisingly, even the Northeast might be a little bit drier. That's weird. But that's the Northeast, not the Mid-Atlantic. That's just the Northeast, like New England. So that's interesting. But yes, that's your ENSO neutral years for January through March. Finally, February, March, April. This is like the latter half of the season now. Here is your temperature anomalies. And then you start to see the core of that cold getting shifted back into the northern plains and upper Midwest. 1.5 to 2.5 degrees below average, probably. But again, still, you got that northern third of the country, now including the Northwest, maybe in some cooler temperatures. So maybe the Northwest can get that cooler air later in the season. Maybe, who knows? We'll have to see. But the southern third of the country, in all, probably going to be a little bit warmer than average, but not too noticeable. And precipitation's all over the place. Actually, later in the season, it might actually get a little bit drier along the eastern seaboard. That's pretty interesting. Maybe even a little bit drier. However, now those areas that were in the drier before start to get a little bit more wet, like Texas and Arkansas and Louisiana. But still, now the drier shifts north to the central and northern plains, and the California is still dry. So California might have a pretty dry winter if it turns out to be like this. All right, let me shift my drawing tool over here. This is your typical pattern with the ENSO neutral, and I'll show you a better map. But this is from the Weather Channel. Just when you usually get down someplace like here, sometimes you can get some nor'easters pulled up along that, and that's why we can see some coastal storms. But here's that key. That subtropical jet comes in from the Pacific near the Baja and just throws in even more moisture to what the jet stream already brings, and moisture from the ocean, moisture from the Gulf. Subtropical jet bringing in all that moisture and clashing it with, and that warm air too, clashing with the cold air. Some ugly winter storms if it turns out to be like this. But usually the southern part is warm, which is why my forecast, if you remember, I did say, where is it, right here? I did say that the south, right here, could be a little bit warmer because that's the way it usually turns out. But again, that could very well change. Here's a better look at it. So here we are. Here's your polar jet. Get some cold air. The Atlantic jet stream. Then you got your subtropical jet, your Pacific jet, throwing in all these sources of warm and moist air over that cold air, and that could sometimes favor in some winter storms. Now, ENSO neutral, yes, has that neutral part to it. So could it have some features of a, not so active winter versus an active winter? Yes, because it's very much in the middle. Oh, I'm talking like Tweety Bird, but very much in the middle. So you can sometimes have some bad winters, sometimes have some, winters. So it all depends. But it looks like it's favoring more towards a colder winter. This is just a brief description of a brief chart dating back to 1950, some La Nina, El Nino patterns. You can see winter 13-14 was neutral, 2002 was neutral, 2004 was neutral, 93, 94 we had some neutral patterns, but I'm going to show you these coming up very soon, like right now. So here is December, January, February, your sea surface temperature anomalies. Keep in mind, those warmer ocean temperatures, high pressure is going to build there. Now, why? I don't know if it's Chinese or Japanese, but I just had to click through each one until I actually find the one I wanted. But if you have that high pressure building here, there's warmer ocean temperatures. And what is there also? Dry air. I gotta find it. Hold up. Is this the one? No. Alright, there it is. Okay, there we go. So, where the same places those warm oceans where there's some drier than average times, according to this model. So if that can happen, just like they were calling for last winter, it could push that jet stream up and then trough it down in the east. So that could be a possibility, and that's why they're calling for a potentially bad winter. Here's the 500 millibar geopotential heights. This is one I'm most excited to show you. This is the winter of 89 through 90. Every one of these maps is December 1st through March 31st. So geopotential heights, usually you can see that jet stream kind of driving down into the east a little bit. Let's go to the next one, 90 to 91, another neutral winter. Again, you see ridging in the west, troughing in the east. Same kind of thing. Alright, next one. Here it is. 92, 93, same kind of pattern. Okay, so you can see the pattern here. Even 93, 94, 2003, 2004, at 12 and 13 and 14 winters were very brutal across the east with excessive troughing. So that's it for today's video. Hope you guys enjoyed. Please subscribe, drop a like, share this video. I'm the Weather Dude, signing off. Till next time, catch you guys next video.